So we've got Rebecca, we've got Alan, what's your name? Dorothy and Mikey.
I am registered.
That's okay, that's absolutely fine. Glad to see you here. I was just explaining, we've been on the road, so this is like our 5th or 6th event we've done in this series. And so we've tried to use this kind of metaphor of Pendle as a house. What is good about the house, what's bad about the house. Anyway, this was the first one we did at Nelson College. And some of the this is some of the things, it's not necessarily that obvious what some of the things are. Some are more obvious. So there's different rooms in the house. So the nest there, that's the bedroom. What we found is a lot of people grow up in the Pendle area and then go away from Pendle and then find a romantic partner and drag them back to Pendle. And so it's the opposite way around. What you mean? You were.
I came from Accrington.
Yeah.
Romantic partner brought me here.
Yeah, but yeah, you got dragged to Pendle basically. Yeah, you didn't get dragged. No, you like it. But anyway, that's the thing. So it's a very nested sort of areas. What even this is what young people are saying, but this is echoed actually across most of the events we've done. And some of the other things, this upstairs is a playroom, so we've got a very multicultural thing going on. You can't really see that close, but we've got lots of different ethnicities of dolls in the playroom and lots of flags. That was a common theme in lots of different things. Yeah, you can change the host. Just hit the button so we can see the illustration.
Can I just ask you how you got to be here?
How we got to be here?
Yeah, did you book yourself here or somebody found you?
We hired a van from Enterprise. But Paul, how did we come to be here? This is Paul that's actually he's from in situ. You may know Paul. So tell us the story of this whole project.
Well, it's not about the project,
Yeah.
just how you in this town hall and who.
Yeah.
Well, I just phoned Nathan to book it.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Yeah. So I just booked some paid with high dips, you know.
Right.
And we did
I
bundles
thought
and
it was
skip
a
home.
council event.
Well, it is. We're supporting the council in sort of talking to people out and about, but we've
So that's Pendle Borough
It's the Borough
Council.
Council, not the Town Council, I guess. So, that
Well, I'm
makes
a
a
borough
difference.
council.
Okay, you're a borough councillor.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
It's the
fantastic.
first council that's turned up.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, we can give you a bear if you want. Actually, it's great to have you here in that case because this has been commissioned by Pendle Council, and we're coming with a lot of ideas about Pendle, but also a lot of common complaints. Sometimes it's about a particular town. Sometimes it's something that goes across the whole world. This, as I said, this is Nelson and Cole, and some of the themes is about, obviously you can see the litter, there's this kind of scourge of takeaways, which, and healthy eating seems to be a big thing. It's almost like the takeaways are there, and they're kind of growing the economy, so to speak, but it may be in the wrong way because it's very unhealthy, and it's kind of, so that was something, this is what young people in Nelson College are saying. What else, any sort of highlights from this? I think the potholes in the roads, this is the driveway of the house.
Lots of spaces for women to do stuff.
So in the living room.
Is there enough for women?
But
having more annoying music, I guess.
we've got a range of annoying music.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Water, we're talking about water, the quality of water, but also that being a great local resource as well. People just, value and they have that.
people like the water, but also one of the things people are saying is we should have more sustainable local power sources. So they've got the solar panels, but they also got hydroelectric projects going on.
Yeah.
Where's the hydroelectric project?
Sorry?
Where's that?
No, it's just an idea because we've got a lot of fast-flowing streams and rivers. This is what young people are saying. We should be harnessing that. That could be a local resource. Anyway, maybe we should just move on to the next one because there's quite a few things just as we sort of warm this up. This is Barnoldswick. So, Margaret, do you want to say a few things about this?
Yeah, here we're talking about maybe not so good connections, train connections between towns and cities. By the way, welcome to Tokyo, welcome to Poppy, and you probably are in the right place.
Yes.
Hello, come in, have a sense tea and a snack. So we're just kind of going over the stuff that we've been discussing in previous one of these Tokyo talk shows. So this is the one we did in.
This is Barnoldswick, yeah. And I just will say, sorry, did we get your name? What's your name?
Yeah, Kevin Salter.
Kevin and Dorothy and Alan and Rebecca and Mikey. This is Margaret. This is Paul. And we've got Laura online that's visualising some of these things. And what we've tried to do is use the house as a kind of metaphor for Pendle. And then we've taken this house and we've got different people in different places to sort of add things to the house and put things around the house. This nest is a very common factor, which is that people, I'm going to say this, Dorothy, even though you would see it a different way, people grow up in the Pendle borough, they go out and they find a romantic partner and drag them back to Pendle, and then they live happily ever after. From Manchester, there we go. It's a very common, it seems to be a common thing, and that's something we found wherever we went.
How did you come to that conclusion?
It was just something that someone said in the first session, which was at Nelson Common College, but then it seemed to echo through wherever we went in Pendle. It seemed to be a thing. And one of the questions is, because there is a concern about young people wanting to leave the borough, but do they come back? And this is a question. Some people do say they want to come back. Some people, we talked to a lot of older people, parents and grandparents, and said, some of my children have come back, some of them haven't. Are enough of them coming back? It is a thing, that people are coming back, but are enough coming back?
Well, I've reversed it because I was in Germany for 30 years.
Yeah.
My daughter married someone in Barrowford.
Right.
And then when we relocated back to, went back to family. So we came to this area to stay with family. So again, it reverses the other way.
But it does seem to be a thing because normally that whole thing about people leaving Pendle is seen as a negative, but if they're going to come back, is it such a bad thing? They're bringing different perspectives and different ideas from different parts of the world. Maybe it's not such a bad thing. So this is one of the things we were talking about. And the whole point of doing it as a sort of visualization is it kind of ekes out some of these more imaginative perspectives on Pendle, because I'm sure you've all heard, we know quite a lot about things like the shops closing down. We've got that there represented.
We don't have any shops closing down here in Col.
Yeah.
We do in Nelson, but we don't.
Yeah.
Not in Barnolds.
Yeah.
No. So that's.
But you know what, Dorothy? We were out in Cole Market today, and it was a very strange thing because some people were saying, there's lots of stuff going on, but other people were saying the shops are, even if they're not closing down, they're saying that they feel like there is a kind of diminishing, even if it isn't actually factually happening. So that's what people are saying in Cole Market.
In Cole Market?
Yes.
That's not a shop, is it?
Yeah, but they're saying it about the shops around and about the place. And we've got a new face, so welcome. We've got Paul, we've got Rebecca, we've got Alan, we've got Kevin, that's right, and we've got Dorothy and Margot and Mikey. What's your name?
I'm Jill, I'm from Pendle Council.
Okay, I'll give you a round of applause for that. I'm not going to go back over the answer. We're going through some of the sort of stuff we've seen already, just as a sort of warm-up for tonight's session. And basically, this is Barnoldswick. This is what people are saying in Barnoldswick. We'll just quickly go over some of the main points here. There was the people around the table, it was surprising because Barnoldswick, probably we think of it as quite a sort of rural place. They were very focused on industry, economy, you know, making stuff happen. So that's why I've got the nuclear reactor in there, because apparently Rolls-Royce are making nuclear reactors, not in Barnoldswick, but in another one of their plants. Parking was very controversial. Some people said parking must be free. Other people said we need to fleece the tourists. So that was another thing. Yeah, but some people were saying parking, we should start charging for parking as a way of making money out of the tourists. So that was a controversial thing. You know, some people saying we're not, okay, there are tourists coming to Barnoldswick, but are we?
Well, I would say that we've had people, visitors, family, coming out from Wales, coming across from Germany, coming. One of the main things that they say is that they can't understand and they appreciate free parking because it's restricted in every other part of the UK, which affects the shops because it limits the time people spend in a town. Like an example, people were just outside Cardiff. When they went to Cardiff, they planned it so that they would only spend a certain amount of time because of the car parking charges, because they're very high. Instead of like in Cardiff, if you can't, you can park, you might decide on lunch. So you're building up resources that in the town, they're getting revenue that they wouldn't get if you had restricted parking.
So you think the free thing is a good idea?
Definitely.
Okay. But this is just Barnoldswick. We've still got to do Nelson, so maybe we should move on to the next one, to Nelson. Now, if you can move on to out there. Oh, the thing just before we do that, there was a thing in the corner. We had a bit of a station thing going on because people in Barnoldswick do feel cut off from transport links, and that has also been a common thing, even in the towns in Pendle that have got stations, that the transport could be better, public transport could be better. Okay, so this is Nelson. Does someone want to explain what's happening here? This, you know, one of the things that was quite a hinted one yesterday in Nelson, because a lot of people this wall here, and that we've got a wall and the takeaways behind the wall. Because people did feel there was segregation happening in Nelson, and that, you know, there were Asian areas and white areas, and we put the wall in, and other people said, no, that's not how it is, it's not how it is. But then the majority of the people there yesterday were actually saying, yes, segregation, racism is still an issue. It wasn't necessarily like overt racism, but just this thing of like, you know, of not that integration that they wanted to see happening.
But also, I think it kind of all stems from a conversation about different generations reminiscing about how it used to be, how people came to live in the area, and then some of the teenagers around the table, they felt maybe the adults were putting like too much of a negative spin on them, and kind of killing their hope a bit. So there was like a very interesting conversation about, you know, at what point do you kind of draw a line under the history and things that maybe weren't so perfect in the past, and how do you kind of move forward? So I found that conversation really interesting. You know, how do you empower young people to actually go and maybe even go to the council or somehow get involved in the council so they feel like they are part of the decision making?
I mean, there was a very sort of the generations were seeing things very differently in Nelson. They were, you know, the young people were full of hope, full of ideas. Some of the older people were as well, but in a way, they've kind of felt a bit more jaded. I mean, we've got Mary Porter's up there, and some people felt that there had been a lot of initiatives in Nelson that had all kind of, you know, not worked out in the end.
Can I say on that issue? We have 5 towns in Pendle, 16 villages, parishes, and the 5 towns all have their individual committee meetings once a month, and public encouraged to come and always have them ever since the committee system was set up, and we do have people come. And before our meeting here in Com, we have our meetings at 7. We have the community safety partnership meeting where the police attend, and so people are encouraged to come to that, and they do. But if they think, you know, that there's something going on that the police should be dealing with, then,
I mean,
you know, they'll come and tell them.
I mean, one of the
So, you know, community involvement is a big thing.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things we found is that, especially the young people, had this very positive perspective about Pendle. So, you know, there is a question, are the young people being involved in things like that? Do they even know about it? And it's not something we actually asked yesterday, but it's a shame we haven't got those young people here today. But, you know, that was another thing.
Perhaps we should push more things like the Pendle Youth Parliament, which we have.
We've had people from there around the talking table in the past as well. Let's have a look at a few other things in Pendle. I mean, it wasn't all kind of doom and gloom in Nelson. There was a lot of good ideas. There was a lot of interesting festivals as a way to deal with, you know, some of these community issues and to sort of have a more positive. A lot of people were very positive about the festival of culture. There's a lot about housing, and that's what there's kind of like a very jammed together, overcrowded housing going on here in Nelson, in this one. That was another question. Is there anything else?
Housing kind of falling into disrepair. Maybe people feeling like, you know, there are some empty properties or properties that aren't being maintained and that kind of.
But they're more interested in building new houses and regeneration. That's the problem. They want to build on all this green space, which is what attracts people to this area.
That was something that came up earlier on today as well in the Common Market. Just while it's still on Nelson, you can't actually see it. There's a big crack in the house, but you can't really see it now that we visualised the cannabis farm in the roof. That was something that people were talking about, hydroponics. Hello, welcome. So that was Nelson. Anything else you want to say about Nelson?
I think there was a lot of challenging conversation about, like you said, the fact that there's lots of things being tried in Nelson. Lots of money's been spent and it never quite gets it right. So they were talking about the A Centre that's now shut and not reopening. So even though there might be ways that people can get involved in having a say, there's still a lot of disillusionment about who's making decisions. And there were a lot of like historic angle about that, which is why it got slightly fired.
But I
think just going back, because Colin, because I'm from Colin has, people have seen that Colin has been able to kind of do some interesting stuff, whether that's, you know, shopkeepers coming together to kind of do that. And it's kind of the thing about learning from each other's town, because in Barnoldswick they were very proud of, you know, the town centre in Barnoldswick, and there's a lot going on. But it's not the same as some of the other areas. So what can we learn from each other's town? And often the towns are just very focused on their own things, so what can we learn from each other as well with that? I think that was good. So that shows that obviously something is working in Colin.
People in Nelson were saying, why can't we be more, you know, have our town centre more like Colin?
Exactly.
So that was also another thing. But yeah, I mean, there was I think some people that were older definitely were a bit more frustrated, where the younger people said, let's try and do new things, let's actually, you know, do this, and they were a lot happier about the things that happened more recently, but they didn't necessarily know about the things that happened in the past. Well, we've got a new face at the table. Tell us your name.
Yes, my name's Holly.
Holly, we have got Paul, we've got Jill, we've got Rebecca, we've got Alan, we've got Kevin, we've got Dorothy, we've got Margot and Mikey. You missed a little bit of the run through of the other towns where we've been to. What we're basically trying to do is use the metaphor of the house, or the kind of motif of the house, as a way to just talk about the good and bad things in Pendle. And you kind of missed Nelson College, Nelson and Barnoldswick. But let's move on to Common Market now, Laura. Thanks for that. We've got Laura online doing these visualisations, so let's have a look at the one we did earlier on today. So there's, does anyone want to explain this a little bit?
I just want to say, somebody mentioned about the Collins House. It's like, I mean, they call it as a kind of countercultural capital of Britain. I wasn't aware of this history.
I just want to say, actually, those people that just arrived, there are teas and coffees or whatever, and short snacks. So, more snacks. I would have put them on the table, they'll get munched instantly. There's another one. Yeah, well, just, if I'm this side, then put them on the table, but, you know, if I'm that side, then, Anyway, so we talked about a few things like this. What were the counterculture of Carn? That was an interesting point that people sort of felt that it's got this history of counterculture, which was a surprising element. Anyway, we've got some new faces. So we've got Holly, we've got Paul, we've got Jill, we've got Rebecca, we've got Alan, we've got Kevin, we've got Dorothy, we've got Margot, and Mikey. What's her name? Sarah, and who have we got with the extra snacks? Dave, you're ready. You know how to, ingratiate a talk show host by coming up with more carbohydrates. Anyway, hopefully you heard some of the things we're talking about. We're basically using the motif of a house to sort of talk about the bad things and good things of Pendle. This is Colm. We didn't actually ever get into the bathroom for Colm. But anyway, it doesn't matter too much. You mentioned the counterculture. Is there anything else? This is the one we did from Colm Market earlier on today.
Why have we got all the stalls filled up to regenerate it? It seems it's been empty for years, and all of a sudden the stalls are all taken, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
It's just before it's going to be regenerated. What's going to happen to all the market stalls?
Okay.
There aren't many left.
Yeah.
There aren't many left.
Yeah.
It's Carn Market. Yeah.
I mean, what's happened? I mean, tell me the story. I don't really know too much about this. Has anyone else got a perspective on market regeneration?
Well, I know there's been some levelling up when you come into Carn, which is
Yeah.
one of the theatre goes to the Carn Market, and there's been something in the paper recently. Okay, yeah. But I guess I'm just kind of interested because you were saying there's not many stalls. Well, I've been in the market today, but it felt really full today.
It felt full today.
It's busy.
It's not.
Yeah, you can get more in. Right.
But it's more than it was.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's had a huge change. It might only be 6 stores, but if yours is one of those 6 stores, it's important what's happening to your business in between the regeneration. And I agree with the regeneration of the market. But what happens to these people's businesses in the meantime? It's being regenerated.
Well, 5 have already left because.
But there's only 6 days.
Yeah.
No, we're 6 and 8.
There's 6 left. Okay, Sarah, have you got any views on this? Info on it?
So what we do is build a shell building next to it for the new cinema, which will be a 3-screen cinema, and move people who are in the market either across the road to the empty shops and or into that cinema. And I know that the opticians is already looking to move.
Can they see well enough to because all opticians are a little bit short-sighted. They're looking but they can't quite see.
So what I'm saying is that it is an opportunity for Kerry, because it will bring more people to live on the site, which will drive footfall into the town. It will bring a cinema to the town.
Sarah, you sound like you've got something to do with all of this. Are you involved in this?
I'm the councillor.
Okay, you are the second councillor that we've had on this. Okay, you're also a councillor. Okay, right, so we have got, what's going on? Because we've been to Nelson, we've been to Barnards, we've seen no councillors. We come to Colm, get surrounded by councillors. That's amazing. Are we online as well? We're not, we've got to go online. If that's okay with everybody, because I think, you guys have got an audience. Anyone here not a councillor? Okay, you're not councillors. You are Joe Public, basically. So we'll focus on you. Are you a councillor?
I'm not. No, I'm an officer.
Okay. And what is the difference between an officer and a councillor?
So it's the councils that make the decision and give
Yes.
the strategic direction for the council.
Yeah.
And it's up to the officers to implement that.
Okay, so you're basically, they make decisions, you do the decisions. Okay. Right.
Ideas and execution, man. That's how I would say it. Yeah.
And what have you got? Any sort of
Colm resident, I'm a Colm resident.
Right.
I've lived in Colm my whole life.
Yeah.
Went to school at Park, went to Nelson College.
Yeah.
My kids go to school at Fulbridge. Yeah, just live, work in Colm.
Yeah, so
We have a business in Colne.
Yeah.
I probably should have led with that really. Yeah. My husband run a business in Colne.
Now, is your husband from the Pendle area?
We're originally from Burnley.
Okay, so it's not too far away.
Right across.
Yeah, because one of the common things we find is that people, because one of the questions is like, are people leaving Pendle? But actually, we're finding a lot of people are coming back and dragging somebody with them. They go out to the wide world. It might be Manchester. It might be where people, all over the place, and coming back.
If you're under 50,
Yeah. What's that?
or under,
Yeah.
you were born in Burnley.
Yeah. Okay. Why is that?
Because that's where the maternity hospital is.
Oh, okay. So it's hard to not be born in Burnley.
That's
basically.
not
Yeah.
really true because I was born in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Apparently, you can only play for Yorkshire cricket team if you're born in Yorkshire.
Right. Okay.
That's why I was born in Yorkshire.
Right. Okay. Well, that's interesting. It's interesting how we can go down that. We haven't really talked much about cricket, funnily enough. Anyway, so we're still doing the intro. We're talking about all the different places and what people are saying. We're on the session with everyone today in Colne Market. Does someone want to, Paul, does any of this make sense? What's going on with all these diggers and stuff like that?
Well, I guess there's some people that are kind of from the bottom end of Colne, and they were sort of talking about this history of I guess the community down there feel like we're kind of a counterculture. At one time we would have been the hippie capital of England, 71, in the 70s. And then there's been a lot of fights in Colne to kind of stop development of housing in various different places. So there's obviously people who are really passionate about that, and it's already come up once there. So they were talking a lot about that, but also talking a lot about health and well-being and the potential for things to happen in Colne to support people and the challenges we're having nationally, I guess, around mental health. And somebody particularly knew a lot about all the things that you can kind of find foraging, which is a health activity, but actually the benefits of those things, which is why we've got a lot of mushrooms. Yeah. So we did have a conversation about magic mushrooms at one point, but also just generally mushrooms.
That's the
things you can find that you can cook, that you
can
find and all that. But obviously, so there's people that are kind of interested in that kind of alternative stuff. But then, there's this weird mix between people that are saying, Colne is really thriving, the businesses, all that sort of stuff, and also people thinking that it's kind of on a bit of a downward spiral as well. So we had this kind of
it was kind of almost because it was like a weird. It's almost like being in two places at once, because half the people, no one seems to say Colne is just on the steady. Either people saying Colne is going downhill or Colne is on the rise, but there didn't seem to be. I was trying to get the people that said Colne is on the rise to talk to the people that said Colne is on the downhill, but they just seem to be living in two different worlds in the same place, if that makes sense. And that was kind of a bit strange about Colne, that there is these two different perspectives. I mean, maybe we should go around the table. I have got a feeling around the table, most people will say Colne is on the rise. But maybe we should ask, I don't know, what do you think?
On the rise.
On the rise?
Definitely.
Yeah. Can you give us a reason for that?
Well, I think it's one of those ones. You look at the high street.
Yeah.
High street's busy. The shop vacancies are really low.
Yeah.
And again, compare and contrast with the rest of Pendle or the rest of the Northwest. You're really good at getting those shops filled. Good portfolio of independent retailers.
Yeah.
You need a big, vibrant market, hence the investment in that to really bring it back to life again.
Yeah.
And also, rather than just drift down the high street, there's lots of activities in terms of restaurants and other sort of businesses. If you get it back up to the top end of town again and really revitalise that bit, that's what we're after.
Yeah, so
Hence, that's what the money's for the investment.
Okay, so you feel like there's money coming in, there's a plan, and things are happening.
In terms of housing as well, obviously people live, you've got to work, you've got to live. So a balance of where to work and where to live. And one of the things we're quite keen on in terms of both the neighbourhood plan and from a Pendle perspective is to actually get it so you've got a good portfolio of houses, top end, middle end, bottom end, etc. So people can get the first row on the ladder, we all
and is that the bottom of
the start home.
Yeah.
No, it's always
that's
the good thing about it. And then what you then have is the chance to, you've got your child, you want a bigger house or whatever, and then you want an even bigger house and then you want to downsize when you retire. So you need that sort of virtuous circle of the housing market.
Okay,
and that's what we're
and you feel that is happening, and that's...
I think that's what we want to happen. Clearly, if you're a developer, you want to build the biggest houses in the greenest places.
I mean, there was a lot of chat about this earlier on, and actually about development and about the sort of deals between the council and the developers, and this has been a big subject. What are you going to say, Paul?
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, you know, the perception today is very clearly that a lot of the development is about trying to do the bigger stuff, because ultimately there's more money to be made, and also from the council's point of view, if people are playing in a bigger band bracket, they're going to get more council tax, but it doesn't necessarily help the idea that people will want something for people at all levels. But you know, the people we spoke to weren't necessarily seeing that. And we did get into talking about, because when we were in the market, we were across from the recent development across the road there, but half of that was still empty. It's been sat empty for a while, so we were like questioning about, well, what could you do with that? So ideas around that, but also why is it still empty? You know, why is nobody moving into there, and what are the incentives for people to start a business? Right. Well, that was what people was thinking. It's like, well, why is that? Because it'll just stay empty, particularly, you know, now. So.
I mean, people were coming up with lots of different ideas of what they wanted to put in there, and this informed, you know, some of the things on this visualisation today. People were saying, why can't it be a community cafe, a place where, or some kind of community hub, where actually some of the things that are happening already in Colne can actually get together and cross-fertilise. Anyway, I always supposed to go around the table and ask people whether Colne is on the rise or not. Holly, what's your view on it?
Yeah, I think it is on the rise. I don't think, but that's, I guess, it's your outlook and sort of who you're surrounded by.
Yeah.
So, as like business owners, we're surrounded by really good business networks that happen here in Colne Networking Group and Pendle Roadshow. So we know that there's fantastic businesses here in Colne. We live in a really great area, and we're quite lucky with what we've got. So I suppose,
I mean, why?
I think Colne's great, and I'll never want to do that.
Why is it? Because I do, you know, even just as a business at Colne, you realise there's so many independent little businesses, and that's just the retail ones that you see, but there's probably other ones too.
Yeah.
Why is this? What is going on that there's so many things sparking up, and there seems to be that's quite a sort of imaginative kind of fertile kind of ecosystem.
But I think it's sort of a startup cost probably quite reasonable really. Premises are generally cheaper. It's cheaper to buy your first home, or it is a cheaper area to live. I don't know about sort of rents on businesses and things like that because we work from home, but I think there's that, and I also think there is a good support network across businesses.
Right, okay. Okay, I mean, the other point you made as well, Holly, is about those people that are outside of that bubble. Maybe they're the people that are not feeling that sense of being on the rise, because they're not in that kind of very exciting sort of part of Colne. I'm going to go, you're from Colne.
I mean,
do you feel it's on the rise, if it's on the way down?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if it's about 5 years ago, but I remember the point where it felt like something was happening. It's always hard to know what is the thing that does, and I remember, it's not even there now, weirdly, but there was the Green Chimney that opened, which was like a bit more of a, I guess maybe a Manchester feel type coffee shop with evening sort of stuff going on, good food, you know, bits of music events. And it was like, oh wow, what's going on here? Because I would have never thought about really going out in Colne. You know, I'm from Colne, I've lived in Barrowford quite a long time, moved around a bit, but I've always stayed in the area. But Colne would never have been the idea of going out unless you went to the Blues Festival and you bumped into all your old friends at school. Yeah, but when that happened, well, I don't know, well, I don't know how long it was, but when that opened, it's suddenly like, oh, what's going on here? So then we went and had some food, thinking, oh, this is pretty good. And then it became a thing, oh, okay, we'll go out. And then that one thing just then ended up having a knock-on effect. And that bottom end of the Colne, there were quite a few, so you then had the cocktail bar. Eventually, we used to go to Turner's a lot when it was in Barrowford, but then they moved, so that was alright. They've come to Colne as well, so you go there a little bit. So it's that thing that happens. I mean, the worst thing I always get really frustrated when people start talking about, oh, we want to be the new Hampton Bridge. I hate it when towns feel like well, when they want to copy of something else, because I always think towns have their own individuality. Sometimes they find it hard to find what that thing is. And it felt like Colne did. And then I think sometimes when that happens, you then suddenly just see everything else with a slightly different eye for stuff like that. So and then all the usual stuff on top of that. Like, I mean, always gone to Jim's vegetarian restaurant over the years for a long time, and the Blues Festival has always been an annual thing. It's when the collection of things start to happen, and that's when something shifts.
Yes, so it's
And
actually...
I think that's happening in Barnoldswick as well. I don't know that as well. I mean, I live in here now, so I am discovering Barnoldswick a little bit more, but it's just that knock-on effect that happens, and I think because I'm the same as I decided to start my own company here in Pendle as well, because I wanted to do something where I live, bring that kind of quality around arts and culture in the city. So I work all over the place, doing that across Pendle, and I'm really interested to see what are the things that will stimulate activity in other places like Nelson, from but the different communities, but it's finding what is that one. Sometimes it's just that one thing that just keeps.
Okay, so something it was for you it was the green chimney kind of led to this whole this whole kind of what's the word, cascade of different businesses opening up and a different perspective on Colne. Got a new face at the table. Welcome. Tell us your name.
It's Bill.
Which one do you prefer? Bill. So Bill, we've got Sarah, we've got Margot, we've got Dorothy, we've got Kevin, we have got Alan, we've got Rebecca, we've got Jill, we've got Paul, and Holly, and David, and I'm Mikey. No, I mean,
You're a teacher. We were teachers, you remember that?
No, I've never been a teacher, but I've been in a lot of schools, so maybe that's what it is. I've got Laura online, and I think Laura, it's time to start visualising the next Pendle house. But yeah, so far, basically what we've been doing is we've been talking about Pendle at large, but now zooming in onto Colne. Weirdly, we were in the market with this earlier on today, and one of the sort of strange things is that half the people were saying Colne is on the decline, and they were saying it's kind of, I was saying, was there anything that can actually make it go back up again? And they were like, no, that's it. It's dead. It was dying. But then there's another half of people that says that Colne is a great place, Colne is improving, I love Colne. And so there's a weird kind of, what's the word, dissonance between these two groups. I'd say probably all the people here are in that second group that said that Colne is on the up. And we've heard about the businesses. It seems to be a very fertile place to start a new business, and there's so many independent businesses. It's got its own vibe. So there's this, that's basically what we're talking about right now. But one of the questions is, why is it you've got this, I think quite substantial group of people that are not feeling part of that, and they still feel that, even, Dorothy's mentioned that the number of retail units being used is actually going up, or, it's quite full, but people perceive it differently. There are still people that perceive.
I've been here 50 years, and 30 years ago we had 50% occupancy of shops and businesses in the town. So that was pretty poor then. And then, as Paul says, it really did start from the Green Chimney down that end, and then suddenly, 10 years ago, it's all filled up, and we just filled up. One of the last ones, which was the old Blockbuster site, and that's just been hot, it's been filled up anyway, which has been empty for years, so, people are pretty pleased about that. So, when you ask, is it on the rise, this is it. I don't think it can get as good as it is now, or better as it is now.
Well, that's a question I think we can put to other people. What are other people?
Is that?
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the properties.
The level of occupancy,
I think obviously the market can be improved, obviously, and that's going to happen. But compared to what it was,
it's come a long way.
It's not just rising now, it's been rising for quite some time, and it's got to this stage 10 years ago, I would say.
I mean, as they say, overnight success takes 10 years to happen. So anyway, we're going around asking people, if they think Colne is on.
I'm not actually I am a Colne. I was born and bred in Colne. But I've lived in Colne not lately, but I'm also for the last 30 years.
Okay,
so I'm off Colne in that respect.
Okay.
I'm on the corner, but I still get to the bar and it was booked up.
All right, okay.
So,
I'll
I've
tell you what.
got an opinion about Colin as well.
Yeah, I mean, we went through we kind of went through what happened in Barlick earlier on.
So I think Barlick's on the old.
Yeah, well, that's what people were saying there.
He's going nowhere. Colin, it's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, generally speaking, obviously.
Yeah, but it's not as big as Barlick, not as big a push as Barlick, you don't think?
No, I think Barlick's got a very strong local community. And they put lots of events on. Lots and lots of events on. Nearly every other weekend there's something going on.
It's a different kind of town. Different.
Well, they're Yorkshire, aren't they?
Well, I was shocked. I didn't know that Barnoldswick is historically Yorkshire. I found out that on Monday. EB2, yes.
So the majority of wages in Barnoldswick would probably be higher than in Con because of Rolls-Royce. They've got some big businesses there. So they're earning more money, so they're spending more money. They've got the disposable income.
Anyway,
I'm surprised there actually. It's like, I worked at Rolls-Royce and I don't think a lot of people work at Rolls-Royce in Barnoldswick. A lot of people come into town to work.
Yeah, but the people who are living in Barnoldswick are employed in that area generally.
Yes, they are.
So their income is high.
Anyway, we're going around. We'll come back to that in a second. But I'm still going around the table asking people. It's not so much because I think most people are saying Colin is on the rise here around this table, even though they weren't in the market earlier on today. We want to know why and how, and whether it's reached its peak or whether it's just the start of something even bigger. Can those people that don't feel part of it, can they somehow be included? So I think there's lots of questions. And I'm going around the table. Jim, have you got a view on this?
Yes, I think Colin's on the up. I think it's got a reputation for being slightly alternative and it seems that people seem to be really proud of Colin and really dedicated to making improvements. And also I think in terms of transport, the transport could be improved, but the fact that it has got a train station is a positive. I mean, obviously it's the end of the line of the train station, but at least it's still got potential for connectivity to other areas. But I know that there are issues.
You're not that.
It's about the infrastructure. There's obviously
I've got very strong views about that. Sorry.
We'll come to that later. It is a big theme, and especially actually in Barnoldswick, where they feel like they're still sore about their train station closing down in the 1960s. And there is apparently a campaign to make Colne get through, the lines go all the way back through to Skipton. So there is a thing. But let's park that for now. Right? Transport is a big thing. How it happens, I mean, I think when we were in Barnoldswick, somebody from Pendle Council said, we can actually campaign for better, we can talk to national government and say we need better transport. And that was a thing that people were saying in Barnoldswick. So anyway, transport, yes. Let's move on. Rebecca?
I don't really feel like I've got experience enough with Colne, whether it's going up or whatever. The only thing I can say is that I lived in Didsbury, Manchester. And the change that I saw in my lifetime through that place, and if you're not careful with somewhere like Colne, you can destroy it. And change its
character.
I
mean, what happened in Didsbury?
It started off, I would say, like Colne, it was a village. We still call it Didsbury Village, but it's not. And I met him and I used to laugh because he called this a town. This isn't a town. Manchester city centre was a town. We had a big debate about it. Didsbury, when I was growing up, was a village. There were shops, people knew each other. Whereas now when you go back, my family have lived there for years, but I can quite happily go to Didsbury and not know anybody now. And it's because there's been a huge influx of people from London who've come to Salford who now want to live in Didsbury. The housing has shot up. People who've been brought up there can't afford to stay there. When I'm thinking about Colne, I just think it's got something very precious, and I would like to see that
because there are a lot of places that end up being like Didsbury.
So it's a kind of victim of its own success in a way, and the character's lost because the people that have made it that character can't afford to live there anymore.
It's now very generic.
Yeah.
It's a place with lots of estate agents, Costa Coffee,
Yeah.
and the chains, as opposed to the quaint little shops. I don't know how many times we've driven down those that.
Yeah.
Look at the little gift shops, look at the curtain shops like bedasheries that you've got in Carl. That's precious.
Yeah.
And there aren't many places, I don't think.
Yeah. So it has got that kind of uniqueness, but is it, how fragile is it? Is it, you know, sustainable? If it,
It's on the coast.
Yeah.
Because, because you're trying to build so many houses in the area.
Yeah.
You've got to service all these people. There aren't enough schools, doctors, anything to service all these people. And these are people commuting or working from home. They're not people from this area, they're people moving into the area generally.
Yeah.
Obviously some people are moving into these new houses. But most of the people around here are grass, aren't they?
Right.
Because, and you know, it's bringing money into the area, the council tax is ridiculous around here, and they're just going to make a killing on the council tax. So it's great from that perspective. But like Rebecca said, it's turning from a small town into it's just going to be a housing estate for too long.
A kind of generic dormitory town.
And the houses they want to build aren't particularly nice. I mean, the ones that they've designed, I can't say they're really designed for the roof, I think they just picked up a lot.
Yeah, they're very,
It's not really designed.
So one of the dangers for Colne is being genericized, if that's a word.
Well, they built some of them.
Yeah.
And there's about half a dozen that look nice, and the rest of them are just boxes.
I feel like that, but I'm aware that people might think that that's narrow-sighted and that they want a bigger industry here and more money to come in. But I think we need to bear in mind there's a risk of losing the certain character that you have in a place like this. That you bring in.
Yeah, so in your mind, Colne has really got a really good character and it's got real
community.
Okay, that's a really interesting point. I'm going to move up. I'm going to take that, Alan, as your point about Colne. Unless you want to say anything else about Colne.
I think, in my eyes, in two parts. The bottom end of Colne has improved so much over the last probably 10 years.
Yeah.
The top end of Colne hasn't kept up to the bottom end.
Why do you think that?
I honestly don't really know. I don't know whether there's not been an injection of cash in there or whether it's just small business that have built up the bottom end of Colne. But that's increased so much, the lower end of Colne, but I think the top end lets it down. There's things happening now, festivals, the big festival that's coming, things like that, it brings people in and they're getting more market stalls to come. Maybe not every week, but I think that's a good thing. Because everything's going online and you've got to sort of fight against that to keep the small town going. Rather than turn it into just a generic town.
So it's once again, it's the danger of the generic. I'm going to go around. I mean, I think we're kind of gathering subjects, and then we'll just maybe talk about some of these things. But Kevin, what's your view? You're a little bit far away, so hold the mic if you want to.
Right, definitely on the up, as far as I'm concerned. I've only been here, as I said, just about 2.5 years.
All right, okay,
But over that 2.5 years, I've seen everything I've seen is positive actions. I wasn't here when the rough was blown, but I've been working on the council and the Forest Parish Council, so I'm actually not living in Colne, but we use it a lot. We're just at Forest, just outside. We do a lot of work down at the health centre as volunteers. So we see a lot of people. We saw 400 today doing the vaccinations.
Right.
So we get a lot of them, and they want to talk, especially the older person.
Yeah.
And what the older people have said, in talking to them generally, is that they've seen an improvement in Colne. Yeah, they see that the shops are not closing like we are in other areas. I think everything that I've seen regarding housing, we've stopped. The council has stopped all the building that was trying to be placed on green sites, and we're fighting another one. Like the benches, they wanted 170 odd houses in there. The council voted unanimously, no you're not.
Yeah.
Because we didn't want it. It's red brick, it was sport. It's a beautiful setting. People don't realise how beautiful this area is. When I talk to people that have transited through here, they think Colne's pretty rubbish because they only go down by the way. They don't come into the town. So when I bring people up to the town, they didn't realise how interesting it is. But apart from the history, the diversity of the shops. You know, as we see, we've got specialised little shops, which are great. We've used all of them, you know, to help us sort out our house when we came back. We had great friendly service. Anybody who couldn't service, they offered an example where you could go to help. You know, it's brilliant, and that's never changed over the 2.5 years. We always use cars.
So it's a very, very positive experience.
Yeah, you get the odd comment like today. We're talking about Boundary Road, and they were annoyed because there's no clothes shops to use in Com. Well, you're not going to get somebody opening a clothes shop in Com when you've got Boundary Road down there.
I mean, that's actually, we heard a bit about that today and yesterday, about, you know, in a way Boundary Mill has kind of absorbed the kind of demand, especially for men's clothes, that there's not really any alternative for men's clothes. If you want to get a suit, and people are talking about that, buying a suit, that's where, you know, you're a bit stuck really.
But also, the majority of feedback on that is having Boundary Mill in or on the edge of Com is positive. Yeah, it's a really strong attraction, and people do come there.
Yeah.
Whether it brings people from there into Com.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's also a question. Can you somehow, once they've got to Boundary Mill, drag them into the town centre?
But again, you know, I think the last count there was 26 firms trying to get into Com, you know, to start businesses.
Yeah.
That's positive. If you've got companies willing to come in and invest, that's a positive, and it's going to create employment and it's going to create wealth.
But does it matter the kind of companies? Because this is another question, you know, it's your question as well. If you have these big chains that want to come into Com.
An example, I think.
You can't get a big chain in Com, not in the centre of Com, on the outskirts. Like that.
Well, I'll let Sarah talk about. She knows a lot more about the development down on the brownfield sites. An example, you know, we wanted houses down there. You can't force a developer to put houses on a brownfield site because it's up to them if they buy the land, what they use it for. If it's classed as industrial, they can use it for industrial. You can't force them to stick low-cost housing on there, which will look lovely. But you can't fix them there. That's it. That's it. They won't do it. That's why you say they want to start building on the upper rough, nice big houses, lots of money involved. So I think basically going back to the question, definitely Com is an up and coming place, and there's lots of things here. Theatres, you've got the new. We're going to have a cinema. You know, three screen cinema, not just a one screen cinema. 3 screen cinema.
Watch 3 screens.
That'll bring people. One of the best things that I get from people that visit here, free parking.
Yeah, we heard about that.
Free parking is such a positive because with the free parking, people spend longer in town. People that came back from Wales last weekend, they said they couldn't believe that you could park your car and leave it. And then they're not worried about what they can't. So they only spend maybe 2 hours in Cardiff. So they don't maybe stay for lunch. They leave Cardiff and go somewhere else. But if we come here, go shopping, and if we do something else, we may pop in and get lunch somewhere. And that's the thing you can do because you're not restricted on time.
So you're a very passionate supporter of the free parking. Dorothy, what's your view on it? Colin, okay, most people say yes around this table, but why and how?
Why and how what?
Why is it on the up, and how is that? Are we going to carry that on?
I'll pass this on because I've lost my train.
All right, well, we'll come back to you.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
I was going to say quite a lot there.
Okay, well, we'll come back to you. Don't worry, because we've nearly done this kind of opening thing. Come on, Mark, have you got any views on this?
I'm excited about this cinema, and I'm excited about all the creative stuff that is happening here because I think that is a really good way to bring people in, but also keep people, you know, in the town and you know, just taking part in what's going on and spending a really nice time, and you know, doing art stuff. But about parking, I mean, what's it like for cyclists around here? I'm just curious.
You've seen the hill that we're parked on.
No, I know. There's a much
There is. We have a big cycle race.
You've got a big cycle,
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about the housing and the brownfield sites, I mean, I think of the other side of the brownfield sites, and that's for industry.
Yeah.
You know, if we've got to build houses on brownfield sites, which sometimes we have to, then where is industry going to go? Because they're moving out, and also on the Lomersham estate, industrial estate, they're moving out of there. There's no room, and they're going to other boroughs.
Yeah.
And you know, if we have a little bit more industry, then it's more jobs and that. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's interesting because in Barnoldswick they were very, very concerned about keeping that industrial element to the town. They were very, you know, a lot of people around the table were like, we must hang on to, you know, to the big employers, but also the smaller startups and stuff like that. But is there a same feeling in Colne that people want to hang on to that industry, or is it more about retail and leisure and stuff like that?
You can't really compare it.
Yeah. Go, let me just bring out your animal.
Well, I'll just come back to what I was going to say. About the clothing. We used to have a Burdens, which is where Alfons is now. We had a couple of fresh shops. We had an underwear shop. We had a couple of shoe shops.
We do still have an underwear shop.
Well, where?
It's in the
Yeah.
All right, yeah. I've been spared underwear shops because this one going back in the 70s, if you wanted to be fitted for a bra, it was a man that did it.
Right,
so
okay.
I steer away. All that was before we got Boundary Mill. And then they all went. You know, so, but I mean, you can go to Maxwell and Astor, TK Maxx, you know, all on the outskirts, but there's nothing in the centre. We've just lost our last shoe shop just a few weeks ago. You know, so in some ways it's up, and in some ways it's down. You know, but you know the big stores. I mean, we can't get a big store on the high street like they have in Stigton.
But would you want a big store to come in?
Goodness, no.
No?
No. Well, it would, you know, where for it to go anyway. Only on the outskirts.
Okay. So in a way,
retail part.
Okay.
But then if it was on the outskirts, it's a challenge then, isn't it? Because it's about getting balance, because you don't want the businesses in town to then bulge because of the development in the outer town. So it's getting that balance.
Is Boundary Mill kind of sucking the business away? It's an interesting thing because it's bringing people to the borough, but is it taking people off of the high street?
There's more people from away that go to Pendle Roadshow. They come on coach trips and you know. I mean, I go down and I sit in the coffee shop and I talk to people and they say, oh, we come from Garstang or Blackpool or wherever, you know.
It's a long way to come, isn't it?
It is, but it's a day out for them.
It's the end of the motorway, so it's been well thought out.
You can't really go.
He's marketed it properly, and you blame him for doing a good job on what he's done.
Okay. I'll come to you because we're talking about, we've agreed that Colne is on the rise. It's more of how, whether it's going to carry on, and all of these things. Sarah, what's your
I think it's only up, but I have a theory based on geography. Makes Coomers different.
Right.
Because I'm from the St Anne's, so I am an Off-Camden, and I've observed them as an anthropologist. And they're different.
Why?
I think it's because it's a frontier town.
Right.
So they're not in Yorkshire. They're trapped at the end of the railway line. They're trapped at the end of the motorway. There's the Pennines in the way. And they've hunkered down and thought, we're going to do it for ourselves. We're going to eat ice cream in the rain. And that's what Coomers do. If it's cold, miserable weather, then we just lick ice cream. It's very strange about them. With regard to the high street, the top part of the high street we were talking about, it's not a conservation area. And the reason that it hasn't seen a fabulous investment is sadly, in the 1970s, a apparently from a beautiful part of Cone, and it was just flattened. And so now we've got this money from the levelling up to try and put it right. And then the generic thing, I can answer that. None of us worried about it. So our neighbourhood plan for Cone has the very first design code in this area, where all bits of Cone have been analysed minutely, and then what makes the architecture special there, the materials and so on. And so hopefully genericness can never happen.
Okay, so you've got plans to stop the genericness. I don't know quite what the right adjective is, generic or whatever. Now I don't know what the right word is to call this genericness or genericization or whatever it is. None of it seems right. But anyway.
Sense of place.
Yes.
Cone needs a sense of place.
Sense of place. Okay, yeah. But anyway, we know what we're talking about. So let's move on. You feel that it's all happening. You've got a plan. It's a good plan. It includes an anti-generic clause. So that's all great. Have we got anyone online? Are they saying anything? Not yet. Okay. Bill, what's your view on this? I know you're
on the old, but the centre of the goal, the market square where you've got, it's great. But then a little bit further towards Keighley, and you could be in any town in the country.
Yeah.
It's just 1960s buildings. It's horrible.
Yeah.
So when it was demolished in the 1970s or 60s, it was just such a shame because it would have been absolutely a tourist trap.
Yeah.
Like Liverpool.
Right.
It was possibly vandalism.
So
I mean, go down the street, go down the road.
Yeah.
Great. There's shops down there. There's new shops down there, and I think that's attracting people. So they walk up there, get sense of going home, and walk back down again.
Yeah.
I just think we need to improve the centre.
Yeah.
A great deal.
Okay. What would you do to improve the centre?
No way much you want. No. I don't know. It's try to sort of make it not like every other town in the country.
But I mean, I think
the centre of Barnoldswick used to be any town in the country. No, it's really nice. There's a square, Easton Square. Perhaps we should ban traffic away from the centre. I don't know. Make it more open, make it more attractive for people.
We're actually looking to make it two-way. We're actually making Granite Road two-way as part of the line to make it more vivacious. Because when I go to Nelson, the water train to Nelson, I can see where I want to go. Just can't work out how to get there.
Right. Okay. Some more shade for Nelson. Yeah.
Well, not to necessarily get into Nelson, but that's one thing that people get really angry about, how that's been shifted around and when it's diverted out. And they haven't put it back in, but it's a nightmare.
Put what back in?
The road, but it's only one way, and it's horrendous, But that is one thing that killed Nelson, a lot of people's...
What, when it's got pedestrians?
Yeah, because you can only get around it, so it just puts
people
people
off.
off.
Nelson, you need a kind of PhD in cryptography to work out how to get... Even for us, in London, it's very hard. You can go around a few times before.
I went to Nelson for 4 years, and today I had to ask my colleague which road to go down. How do I get to that? I've worked there for 4 years. You knew where you wanted to go.
Anyway, let's not focus on Nelson because that's like.
So echoing what Sarah says about the attitude of the people, I think the good thing is that slight comparison is that other towns and villages complain a lot. They want handouts. They want to sit back and just have it all given from one place. The Cone attitude is do it. So in the shops, the businesses, for example, we're the only town or area of Pendle that has a bid, a business improvement district.
Right.
So all the businesses pay into that pot of money in the middle. It's used to market it. You wander around town, you see that sign, come to Cone. And that attracts the businesses, attracts the people. As part of things like the market development, the cinema and all that stuff, and the housing as well, we've had people say, I have moved to Cone. I bought this big house, that one, we did many years ago, just because it's the right kind of attitude. And the town council has done a neighbourhood plan to try to say, we want development of the right sort of houses in the right place, of the right design as well. So, we live not far from the Rough, and the reason why there are good quality houses at the bottom is because we insisted, as part of that development, that they are conservation area standard. Stuff at the top, sadly outside the conservation area, hence a box. Right. No character. And you've got to keep the character in certain places. Even amongst Cone as well, you've got the north part of the town, the south part of the town, the east and the west. They've all got slightly different characters as well. So you're bringing out those characters in how people behave, where they live, what they do, etc.
Okay, so it's also about allowing that people to be characterful. I think it's an important thing. I mean, I think everyone would agree that Colin is a characterful.
Do it yourself.
Yeah.
Accentuate the positive.
Okay, I mean, we've kind of been around the table now. We've heard, I think we've got that kind of baseline about what Colin is about. There's still some questions that we've asked, and it's kind of up to you where you want to take this. Do we want to talk about that kind of disaffected side of Colin that we spoke to at the market that somehow are not part of this? Do we want to talk about the transport, the infrastructure? Do we want to talk about the businesses and retail is doing really well, everyone agrees with that, and you're running a startup from home. Have we got a big enough spread of businesses? We can talk about this. Up to you, go wherever you want to go. Do you want to talk about the spectre of genericization, if it's even a word? Is it hanging over Colin? So it's up to you. What do you want to talk about? Where do you want to take this conversation? Maybe I should ask some of the people that are not councillors, which is Alan, Rebecca, Bill, and Holly. Put it over to you.
Colin was a very attractive mill town originally.
Yeah.
And it's not anymore.
Yeah.
It's had the heart and soul of town to be proud.
Yeah.
Top of the town centre, it's a 60s prefab.
Yeah.
So it's not attractive. I think attractive means you've got to attract people to it, and it's not doing it.
So you think Colin could be more attractive?
Yeah,
okay.
so much more.
Okay, so there is a question: how to make Colin more attractive to attract? Yeah.
I don't think it helps when you're driving in that you've just got Mantalan and Aldi and Pendle, and they're very useful shops. I'm not disrespecting them, but that's what you see as you're driving into Colin. You don't see the beautiful countryside straight off. And obviously you can't change that, but I think we can do something to improve it as you're driving in.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, the centre of Colin is nice and everything, but what about those kind of retail parks and that outskirts? And you talked about who was it who talked about the housing? You talked about the housing on the outskirts. That's very kind of 1960s kind of nightmare housing. Well, you didn't say that, okay, but it's something like that. But so there's these things. I mean, can that kind of focus spread out to some of these outskirts places in Colin? What do people think? Holly, have you got a view on this?
I don't know how would you make North Valley better? I don't know how you could make it look more attractive than it does. Because I do agree, it is a bit of an eyesore when you're driving through, and if that is your first sight of Colin, it's not a great first impression, is it? But I don't know how you could make it better.
I mean, could you have some kind of sign when you first arrive on that roundabout? A bit like exactly, because that's what we do a lot of work in Basildon, and that's what they did in Basildon. In Basildon, they made a big Hollywood-style sign that said, "Welcome to Basildon." Okay, it didn't do much for the whole of Basildon, but it definitely caused a stir and it had an impact.
Listen, when you come upon that retail park, you've driven through the countryside, whichever way you're coming from. Then you get to there, and then you do what you have to do, and then you go, and you're back. They always used to say, in Colin, you can walk for 5 minutes from any top of any street and be in the countryside.
As long as you go in the straight line.
And that's true. You can go from any direction and be in the countryside. But you have to hit this area if you're going past that way or you're going that way. So
for you, it's not a big deal at all.
It's not a big deal, and it reminded me of something that we discussed in the Colin area a couple of months back, where there was a discussion about the signs at the bottom of Pendle.
They say town centre.
The gateways.
No, the advertising on the Holker.
Oh yeah.
And I came through on the bus last week and I thought, well, there is a lot of signs, and had a lot of signs advertising all the little businesses in the Holker Centre. But within a few seconds, you've passed that, and then you come up into the conservation area.
Yeah.
You know, so nothing's like, you're not standing and looking at it for hours and hours and hours.
Unless you're stuck in a traffic jam.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Anyway, I take the point.
I don't drive.
Yeah.
I think the main problem, I know what you mean, because that's what my wife's first impression of Common was. She was driving in, we left the motorway, and she said to me, what on earth have we come to? Because we were going past Sainsbury's garage, and we were going past Kentucky Fried Chicken, McDonald's. But that is in every town in the country. Every town in the country has a street that's got that.
But there's nothing directly to do with the market.
Exactly.
I mean, is there any, what I want to know, is there anything you can do? We've got Laura sort of visualise some of this, where she's chosen Primark and Pret a Manger and Costa as the generic brand names coming to, you know, on the outskirts. Is there anything, is it important? Is there anything you can do about it?
I wouldn't want to see any of the big trends. There's enough entrepreneurs within coffee shops to set up their own little businesses, because most of the businesses are self.
Yeah, but Kevin, we've got that. But we're talking about the outskirts. We're talking about the way in. We're talking about
but you don't possibly stop in a Pret when you go to Costa. You want to stop in Coleman and coffee.
Yeah, for sure.
We've just lost a site at the end of the motorway. Which is now going to be, it went to appeal. And we lost the appeal. And it's going to be a petrol station.
Right.
I'm not sure there's a Costa. I'm not sure. You know, and a couple of units on there on a lovely big field. You know, and that's coming at the end of the motorway.
Okay, so there's going to be a petrol station there. But you are not happy about it, but there's nothing you can do about that.
Council refusing.
Okay. I don't know whether we want to take this or Paul.
I'm kind of interested in the processes of where nothing. Even earlier we talked about the development. You know, the developers will want to do what the developers do. You can't force them to do that or there. So how does that work then? How can you not stop that? Who has the power to do that or not? Is it just because of who owns that land? It's owned by somebody else. So if they own that land, that's fine. They can do that.
So we need to go.
All right, hang on a sec, Jill. Don't go without giving us the final thought. It could be on absolutely anything. Could even be something we haven't talked about. Like what's the elephant in the room? What have we not talked about? It could be whatever you want, but give us a final thought before you go.
And I think in terms of that point that was made about gentrification in the place, I think Colne is in its really volatile position at the moment because it can potentially go two ways depending on how development goes. As everyone said, there's a real character about Colne, and it's about really holding on to that and seeing that as a real asset for Colne, and looking at how that can be sort of central to the redevelopment. So Colne doesn't just become just another northern town that's not any northern town. It's about finding ways to do that. So with all the outlining retail areas and things, it's about so when people go there, they don't think that they've gone to Colne because they haven't been. It's about for signposting them and making sure that they actually get to see the real Colne and experience it.
Well, that could be a giant one-way system where instead of just going straight to Sainsbury's, you've got to go up, round, through, back down, again, a bit like Nelson, all the way around, and that way you don't have to go.
Get lost in
a park and ride, okay, Maybe that could be it. Maybe you can park at Sainsbury's and actually have a free bus.
Or you park in the centre of town and then get the bus from the centre of town.
Okay, even better. So, all these, there's more to parking than I realised, that's for sure. This week I've realised that parking is a very controversial subject. But also a very, kind of powerful subject as well. Where are we going to go with this conversation? Anything from the people? Sorry.
So there's a thing that's called the National Planning Policy Framework. And where there's a piece of land that already has an established use, if that developer just wants to do more of that, there's nothing we can do about it. So Kevin was referring to a piece of land that we thought would be beautiful, river, trees, views, but in fact, although we pleaded with the developer, he said, no. And it was since the 19th century zoned for mills. So we can't overturn that unless he wants to overturn that. He can build industry there.
Yeah.
So it's not in our power.
So in a way, it's Colne's industrial heritage has actually meant that, you know, even green land is industrially zoned and you can't do anything about it.
Well, it's not green, it was just like a sea of bricks. It's not.
Okay, it wasn't completely green.
No, but it would have been.
It could have
been.
been.
With the surroundings.
Yeah.
And the thing was, the mills got knocked down.
Yeah.
Whereas if you compare with Skipton or to Manchester or Ancape or whatever, the mills were saved and the mills are converted. People are living in the town and the city centre.
Yeah, and it's
gone. It's gone. So they just knocked them all down and thought, well, let's get rid of them.
We even tried, but one remaining part of the mill was the engine house with the chip.
Yeah.
And we discussed this at area. And the planning officer advises you cannot say that it's not listed, so they can mark it down if they want to mark it down. Because that would have been a nice feature.
Yeah.
Even if it's an industrial unit, you keep a bit of character.
Who decides what is listed and what's not listed?
That goes down.
Okay. I mean, one of the things I mentioned was we do this up and down the country and people never really understand how any of this works. Outside of you guys seem to understand it, which is great. But people out there, I don't know, Bill, if you've got an understanding of how this planning works and how, Holly, if you have, no?
I live quite close to Red which is it's just heartbreaking, the state of Red and that was a pub. So it's been a pub for as long as I've known it, and it was bought by a developer, I think in 2019, and they wanted to make it into some kind of like residential home, from what I believe, built some extra units around it and changed what was this beautiful old home into like supported living, I think, which I just think is criminal personally. What can you do when that's going to happen?
Well, only is going to happen because they're some quotation.
Right.
So we are actually looking to see what we can do in terms of
We'll buy it and make it to a
Okay, we're making deals already. What's that?
It's great too.
Yeah. So how have they managed to pull the roof on?
They haven't, the roof's on.
Oh, is it?
It's watertight.
Yeah, okay.
But it is a worry, I'm with you.
Yeah, so people, I mean, I guess people are not necessarily aware of what can be done, what can't be done, who says yes to what.
That's the thing, when you said that just a few moments ago. We quite often as councillors, and you see it on Facebook, when something's happened, decisions being made against our issues, it's all down to us, it's all our fault. You know, because councillors are useless or, you know, whatever phrases. And that is because they don't understand. They don't understand the planning process. You know, we don't all understand.
It's not just necessarily planning though that people don't grasp. Like I was having a conversation with my grandparents this morning and they were saying, I was telling them that I was coming here tonight and they were saying, oh, surely people mourn about the roads. I said, well, they might find out, but that's Lancashire County Council, that's not Pendle Council, so that's not something that they can do. But they, of course it is, they'll practice that one. And I suppose people don't know, they are going to accuse, but sort of saying you haven't stuck up for us and you haven't.
Well, I mean, for me there is something about, because the work that I do, even though we're an arts organisation, we touch on a lot of this stuff, and I think there is, and this is the reason why we do things like this, I think there is a challenge around the communication between what councillors do within that, whether it's the town or the borough, and people that just live there. And some people aren't interested in getting on their lives, or some people are, or they'll just whinge and not quite know. I think there's a middle ground that needs to improve, and I think, I mean, it's great tonight that this is the first time two councils have turned up. It's the first, no other councils have ever come. But that's really interesting to be in the room with, you know, because I live around here, with people that are in that, because I don't go to the, and even though you say there's opportunities for people to go to area committees and all that, actually, how we find out about that is a bit of a mystery. It's not really public. I mean, I'm involved in Nelson Town Hill, and that's supposed to be public, but
Anybody can
where do you ask? Where do you actually ask? And I'm someone that's like,
keyed in.
Keyed in for
Pendle Council meeting. The extra page which has them all.
So there's this great search engine called Google. You can
It's amazing.
use.
It's quite good.
When you get people on Facebook saying, where can I get my eyelashes tinted before Saturday morning, you know, for goodness sake.
So, okay, but all right, that's fair enough. But I mean, I think there's two questions here. One is, okay, I think there seems to be a lot of, like, I'm going to call it motivation, but also, the fact that councils have come out tonight and haven't in other parts of Pendle.
Can you publicise that?
We will publicise it for sure. But, is it something about Cole and that sort of positivity of Cole that actually comes through to the councillors as well? And maybe it's a much tougher job to be a councillor in other parts of Pendle where things are not actually happening. Or, it's harder to make things happen.
As a new councillor, because I've only been on for a short while now, just over a year, but the problem I had was trying to understand the laws on planning. I got great support from the other councillors on the committee to explain to me. But the main reason that I came on, because everyone interacts within Pendle. There's a lot of talk. If I'm down at the social club in Forage, I'm asked questions, they'll ring me up. And they're not just sitting there moaning. They'll come up with, this has come up, Kevin, what do you suggest? We help with this.
So it's quite a positive response.
It's very, very positive. And also, if something happens which you get a result from, negative or positive, you get good feedback. And that's what I like about it.
So it's a feedback loop actually, and that actually is very, very
important. For example, the council got slated for no reason at all. Because we were completely against the development over there. But we got completely a 180 result by people on Facebook. I got that in the neck when I went down to the social club. What's this about you wanting them? I said, we never approved it. We on the meeting, we actually 100% of the council said no to the development. Well, I've read.
How does planning get passed if all the councillors are against it or working on behalf of the town?
Well, Sarah can give you a good answer.
Oh, Sarah's the one with the
Pendle councillors, or you Cone town councillors?
We are town councillors as well as
borough councillors. Because I think there's too many layers of government here. I honestly think, and this is quite controversial, I think we should do away with Pendle Council.
Okay.
I think town councils are great.
And who will look after you? Who will make your decisions?
Sorry?
Who will make decisions for you?
No, I'm not saying you do away.
We want to keep you, but put you in a different structure. It's basically.
I want to quote, my daughter lives in Malon, which is in North Yorkshire. She lives in Craven District Council at the moment. This time next year she'll be living in North Yorkshire.
Right.
Not North Yorkshire County Council, but North Yorkshire. And they've done away with a layer of government. And I don't think anything will change because they've still got a local.
It'd be cheaper.
Yeah, it'd be cheaper.
Will it be more effective, do you think?
Yes. I think where it's been done, and it's been done a lot in this country, a lot of medical terms, what they call them, unitary have been created, and they're cheaper. But you've got to have that sort of local. So it's important that you have local town council, parish council.
So what would be the unitary authority around here? And what do people think of this idea?
They've been talking about this for the last few years. It gets very controversial because we don't want to do with Birmingham, or we don't want to do with Blackburn. It's sort of, Lancashire's quite a big place, population. Cumbria has it's quite a low population.
I mean, could
but it's still, again, quite a low population.
Could you have an M65 unitary authority? You're saying yes. And can you work with people from Blackburn? With Derby?
I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Because I had a meeting today regarding armed forces veterans, because I was in the one of the armed forces chaplain. Pendle, as a district for the armed forces veterans, want complete autonomy compared. They don't want Blackburn involved. They don't want, because Blackburn decisions don't affect Pendle. So at the moment, there's no emergency numbers if the veteran needs support for Pendle, because it's in Blackburn. So when somebody rings up, if I call up and say, look, I've got a veteran, he's homeless, they said, yeah, we've got one, it's in Blackpool, or it's in, his family are here. He doesn't want to, and he works here, he doesn't want a house in Blackburn, but that's because it's all located there. So we want it isolated, but then linked. And that's the thing.
So it's a bit of a cake and eating situation.
And that's the same thing with the council situations. If you've got councils, we've got the LCC. We know some of the problems we have with them, but I think it works well as it works now.
But I mean, what about for the ordinary constituent or citizen of the area? Is it a bit too complicated? Because I think you're saying it's complicated.
Well, it is, and I know you could just Google when Pendle meetings. It's not.
See, you learn something difficult.
Mine will do that. But the reality is, it's not a very transparent process or system. And it's not about necessarily having to understand it all, but it's about, and I think more and more about this as a resident as well as through the work that I do, and how you give people a voice that might not normally have a voice, and I'm interested in doing it in creative ways. And I do enjoy when things are much more democratic and equal, even in the way that we do this, where you can have a conversation with someone that's that level, because normally you can't. And my own experience is I'm involved in the Dancing Town with the board, and it's been eye-opening how something works like that in that process, which I just find absolutely horrendous, because it's just so hierarchical. It's done in a very particular way. Everything has to be done. It's going to be done in like the meetings are like an hour and a half, and they talk about things that are for £25 million. And if you want a genuine involvement of people, it takes time, and I'm sure it takes time and commitment. And I've been a chance to do that and be committed to where I live and do what I do professionally where I live. But I just find the whole system really, really challenging to kind of get into. And we talk about barriers a lot in the arts, that people don't want to go into the arts because you can't go to a theatre or a gallery. Actually, all this stuff feels like there's barriers to that as well. And actually, it's just about being able to talk to people and find out genuinely what they're in and think about what people want to do. And if that was done on a much more local level, rather than all these layers of stuff, it'd be much more beneficial, I think, to people.
Get yourself on the council.
Would you get onto the council?
I don't think I could be like on the. Sometimes I'm on the spot, but I don't want to be on the spot. But I think I do admire people who want to be councillors, and I don't think I've got that in me to do that. But I think the work that I do is another way of giving, of kind of creating space for a voice, But I think there is something about the system that it's just so, it can feel completely impenetrable, and I feel I'm very active and thinking about stuff. Never mind someone else who's just in a different situation, frustrated or angry or seeing something happening in their neighbourhood, whether it's antisocial behaviour or whatever. It's and some places you don't even really know who the councillors are or what they're doing
It was Nelson, but yesterday we had a lot of frustrated people.
Really?
Yeah, they were frustrated not just from a couple of things, but for a whole lifetime of feeling, I think, disempowered from that process. Maybe it's different in Colne, I don't know, but I get the feeling people, this is just from being out in the market today, it's a different crowd. There was that, not necessarily there's a sense of not being part of that, and is there a way to actually involve people more, or to simplify it? Is it just about simplifying the system, or is there a way to communicate it better? These are some of the questions we have.
But I also think that the spaces where these conversations happen or can happen is important. I think, I don't know, a council building is like, you have to kind of make a commitment to go to this building, you have to go, right, I've got enough confidence, I've got things to say, and if, let's say, they'll be talking about whatever planning X, Y, Z, if I don't understand something, I'm just going to say, sorry, I don't understand. You have to have that confidence. I think people sometimes don't have it. And I know, I'm not proposing the decisions for the council should be made in a communal cafe, but I think it's something quite brilliant about having a shared space where everyone can go into it and as a human being just have a conversation and just sort of express what can be done, what are the concerns without kind of barriers. And the place we went to yesterday, the Unity Hall
In Nelson,
in Nelson, I think the lady there was saying, this used to be a cafe where all the councillors went and where people went, it was very affordable, it was free Wi-Fi, and it was just a really brilliant place where people could just have a chat, or they'll go and see something, I think just about some theatre there.
Yeah.
It was just a social space that people shared, and I think, as soon as you see your councillor, and you think, oh, wow, that's just a normal person, you can just go, I can ask her for something, because now I know that, but I had the confidence to come here, or I went to see this show, and now I see she's been being approachable, so
okay, so is it about spaces as well as people?
That's kind of like what Kevin is, because he goes to the Forward Club and people approach him with issues or solutions to problems, and that's exactly what he embodies.
It's what you do. Yeah. I mean, can you tell us how
It's just maybe needing sounding like.
Do you find this? I mean, is it just the people that know you that approach you, or is it anyone? And what about this question at large about the approachability and the understandability of the council? We'll grab the mic as well.
No, I think. I'm sorry, I've got to go in a second.
Yeah.
But I think, from my point of view, I mean, the social club is in the heart of the village. It's got 600 members for a very small village.
Yeah.
Very active. Always something going on. And they don't worry about telling you how they feel, put it that way.
They're not backwards and coming forwards.
Yeah. And I'll walk in, and before I get to the bar, I've got 2 questions.
Yeah. Is that a mind sometimes? We just want to have a drink?
No, otherwise, what's the point of being a council if you can't be approached? So you've got to be able to. Some of the questions I would say I'll get back to you, because it's something that maybe I want to talk to other councillors about or get some advice, because we work as a team. So you maybe want to bounce and get support from what do you think about this, what do you reckon, and you'll get feedback and you'll go with a much solider answer to the resident. Lots of them come back after the result, because I always come email or phone them, or if I see them again, we talk about it. And it's always a very positive feedback, even if they don't get the answer they want, like to do with planning.
Yeah.
We've got an issue at the moment with planning. It's not a situation we'd like, but there's a delay in the process. It's not caused by the councillors, it's caused by the system. But residents are affected, and it's costing them money. So we've got to resolve. We can't just say, ring Pendle Council, ring the planning office. We've got to take it on board and then address it ourselves. And I think, as you said, when you're in that sort of environment, it extends, because somebody will say, speak to Sarah, or speak to Kevin, speak to Mary, and then you'll get it from your side. So you get all of the different information that's flowing around, and all of a sudden you get something you don't know. But who's the resident within the borough? Or the ward, they'll come up and you can say, well, it's not really to do with Burnley, I suggest you contact them. Or it's to do with LCC highways, we can't get anything about it. But it's that cross flow of information and communication. You can't walk around with a jacket saying, I'm a councillor. But once you get active, like especially with Sarah and Bernie's involvement with all of the things they've been involved in over the years, people know them, they know the name. Because they're at the borough council meetings, they're at the parish council meetings, and you get the interaction that way. I'm sure it's the same for you. You get the interaction with them. When we've been holding, we did one in I'm on the parish council as well. We did a coffee morning every month where the residents come have a coffee, book swap, and then once every 3 months we have a council there. Just to do a chat, anything to do with the allotments, anything to do with the roads, anything to do with any issues that people have got. And they can talk directly to us. Because as you said, they don't sometimes when they come out on the first Monday of the month when it's raining at 7 o'clock in the evening, they've just got home from work or something, go into the village hall and listen to a process, and then suddenly find they've got to come up with. Now, David, our chairman of the area, is very good because what he'll do, he'll amend the agenda.
Right.
So if there is somebody up from Colin who wants to talk about something on the Colin area, he'll make sure that they don't have to sit through an hour or two of discussion. He'll bring their topic forward because he knows they want to talk about it. And that gives us more time. And then if they want, they go. So I think that's what we're going to do. We've got to communicate. I think our process works.
Okay. I mean, it does sound like a lot of work for you and for the whole council to actually be continuing talking to all these people.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you an example today. I worked down at the health centre. While I was down at the health centre, I answered 5 emails from residents. But that's the job.
Multitasking going on. Okay, I mean, if you have to go, is that your final, just in a way that was an explanation of what we've been talking about so far, but if you have a final thought, what should we be talking about? What is the most important thing we've talked about today, or what you've heard that people have talked about in the other sessions? And going forward, because this is really about a more imaginative process. What are the ideas or, the things that we should really be talking about? It's just as a final thought.
Well, I think the main thing, like you were saying, at this end of town, where it was sort of messed about with, we'll put it that way, all the money's going that way. The money's going towards the entertainment centres as well. So give it a chance. Let's see the development. They've got a great team working on it. There's a lot of negativity from outside the group for no reason. They're just not bringing in. They've got the ideas, they've got the meetings. It's all on the platform. They can see what's going on. I think once that's developed, Colin will even
so you include more people into this.
You'll get people from the surrounding areas, not going to go to Clitheroe Road to the pictures. They'll go somewhere else. They'll come into Colin. They'll go to the pictures here. When they finish the pictures, they'll go have a drink or go through. I mean, that's more revenue coming in from maybe Lancashire Bridge, from Forage, Guinea, or Holswood. You'll get people coming into Colin for that activity.
It might even come from Thornton, across the
Is this the point really old isn't it? I missed these. Are we getting to the cinema?
Yes.
Where? The new one.
Under the new market.
Well, is there going to be a consultation on this? A public consultation?
Is it
So it's not definite yet.
It's not a definite thing.
It's in the plan.
Redeveloped.
So this is news. This is all big news. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for that, and thanks for your work here. I sort of feel we're kind of in a final thoughts kind of mode now. Anyway, I don't know if we've got anyone on. We've got Lara that's been visualising this a little bit. It may have gone a bit heavy with the brand on the right hand side. Let's call that entrance to Colne. I'm not sure about something. Also, I need new glasses, so I can't really see it that well. So maybe, Margaret, if you want to.
So I think on top there we've got, maybe changing the structure, maybe getting rid of the Pendle camper. I think a little bit below we've got all the kind of fruit and veg grown locally. Maybe that's something that could be happening a bit more, give some variety to the streets as well in terms of shop offers. Also talking about, I think that compass, is it compass?
Yes.
In your hand, maybe as well, a bit of clarity how to get from one place to another.
Direction, it's about direction, isn't it?
But also can't be maybe a weekend destination, tourist destination because of the free parking. Maybe something to do that. Also, I think the Primark, Portmange and Costa symbolising the genericness.
The threat of the generic.
Where there is of the city. I wonder whether there's a person in bed with a cup of coffee and
That'll be me.
I'm being Dorothy.
And
Is there somebody else? I'm not sure that one is
That's
well.
also working from home.
Working from home.
Yeah, we're working from home and down below.
Because Lara's actually got a dog, so that's why. In a way, Lara's working from home right now on this project.
She's open. The train, I think the train was about building better connections, but also there was a train line, and I think maybe not here, but
we're at the end of the line here, but you used to go to Barnholdswick and finally skipped to.
to get Barnwell to the trains.
Yeah.
Because I've got a very strong view about this. I think if they reopen the line from Cove to Skip, it would boost this economy so much. Because if you travel from Skipton to Leeds, it's roughly the same distance as from Cove to Preston.
Yeah.
So the two lines are very comparable. It takes 40 minutes maximum to get from Skipton to Leeds. What's the train time from Cove to Preston? Hour and a quarter. And the trains are old, decrepit hell. It was only last year.
The single ones.
Basic trains.
Yeah.
If that line was reopened, go back. If you go on a train from Skipton to Leeds, all the way down the Air Valley, there's booming, Bingley, Shipley, they're booming. There's lots and lots of things going on.
You're putting that down to the train now?
Yeah, because people live in Bingley, Shipley, Keighley, Skipton, and work in Leeds. My daughter wanted to move up from London. My daughter and family wanted to move from London to back up north. And the reason why they didn't consider Pendle is because they work from home. They want a good broadband. They can get up most places. But they have to travel to London perhaps once or twice a month. And going by train from Gore to London, sorry, it's not on. It takes an hour and a quarter to get to Preston. Anyway, if you go from Skipton to London, it's sort of 35 minutes down to Leeds, and there's regular trains down to London. So they went over that side of the Pennine, over Skipton way. They lived in Mallow, it's quite a long way from Skipton to London. It's more convenient for them than living in Pendle, or living in Cove, or here where we live. It's just, to me, it's a no-brainer that line should be reopened. It's a no-brainer. They're spending, I don't know how many £1 billion on HS2, so they can get to London 10 minutes earlier. It's always to get to London, not to get from London to the north. It's the wrong way around. They're spending the money the wrong way. If this government is serious about levelling up, they should invest in the north. And they improve the East Lancashire line all to Skipton and down to Preston, electrify it all, and get some proper trains on it.
But the thing is, Bill, if they had an HS3 between Skipton and Cole, wouldn't it be a little bit...
There's lots of objections to it, there's lots of problems, and, the people in England in particular are saying, we don't want to line reopen because we're going to have bus trains coming through every hour, which is nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. But it would be used for good trains, if it was a full Monty line. But they don't have to build a full Monty line. They could make it a light railway. And if it's a light railway, lots of the objections, lots of the problems disappear. For instance, a light railway, you can have level crossings, I believe. If you have a full railway, you can't have level crossings. So the highway would be a problem if you put a three-wheel line. But there are ways around it.
Okay. I mean, it's been said in Barnwell, it's been said here as well. It's been even said in Nelson. Paul, you were going to say something there.
Well, I agree with that. I just think it goes back to the kind of who's actually making the decisions, because I don't think it's ever going to happen because it'll be good for people. I think if it's going to happen, it will be because of goods, and whether that's drags that can take, lumber over to burn and some, power thing. That's the thing that ultimately is driving it, which then is about whatever economics or profit. It's not about actually for people, the local businesses in the towns that would thrive, because it's crazy. I mean, never mind getting to London, you can't even get to Manchester. It's a nightmare. We work with local artists, but we work with artists all over the place, and it's horrendous to kind of get into Pendle. I often have to go pick them up in Burnley or at Manchester Road because you just can't get to this spot. And they've even stopped the bus. The bus was great, but now it gets off at Burnley, gets on motorway, comes to Colne, so I have to Colne. But Nelson and Brighfield in between, it just gets...
Okay, let me just, Dorothy, hang on a sec, because Dorothy, you had a point about this.
I was just going to say, one of the first meetings I was sent to was Selma, which are the group of campaigners all in the conscription railway line. And that was 25 years ago.
Right.
It was held in Colne.
And do you think they've made any progress, or do you think that...
Well, they have in 25 years, but
we're still
in
talking about
Norway, we're
yeah.
nowhere near.
Yeah.
But, you know, they're still at it, still working on it. But 25 years to campaign something is a long time.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
Bill, you had a point? And I think we're going to get some final thoughts.
No, I can't remember what it was.
Well, we were talking about, you know, about, I guess, this idea of like how accessible this area is, not just to London, but to anywhere else that's, you know, and it's mostly roads, isn't it? You have to drive down to a station that is at least on a relatively busy line. Or you could chance your luck on the Colne to Preston. But anyway,
it's buses, it's transport, it's integrated transport. If you want to go to, if you do catch a train to Skipton and you want to come to Ealing, where I live, right, you catch a bus from outside Skipton Station into central Ealing, and the bus to Colne went 3 months ago.
Yeah, so there's no coordination.
What's going on?
Yeah.
You know, who are these people who are trying to plan transport, saying, well, when the bus gets in, the bus you want to get onto is gone 3 minutes before you got there. It's across their border.
They've got really sadistic
it's this is they're not thinking, you know.
Yeah.
Now, fortunately, for the people in Ealing, a bit of common sense came about where there's a bus called the 280, which was from Pendle Roadshow to Skipton, and somebody suggested that instead of going past Rolls-Royce and through Ford and Drayton that way, it came through Ealing. So they said, let's try it. And it worked. So now Ealing's got the advantage of having a bus going to Skipton every 2 hours.
And what difference has that made a difference?
Because people from Ealing go to Skipton to do their shopping.
Yeah.
They don't want to go.
Okay. And that's maybe down to the bus. Okay, we've heard a lot of these things. Let's maybe just get some final thoughts on where to start. I've somehow switched around to you, David. So, I mean, have you got any final thoughts of this? Any of this been sort of news to you? Oops, excuse me. What we've been talking about, slightly tangled myself up here as well. Any of this been news to you about what we've heard tonight? Has it been kind of what you expected? Is it? There we go. Sorted out. Has it been what you expected? Has anything excited you? Once again, have we missed things that we should be talking about? What are your kind of reflections on this?
I think in terms of, there's probably no big surprises, because obviously demystifying the council is one thing.
Yeah.
Understanding what we're doing to improve code and our contribution towards the wider level. Communications, I think roads, rail, etc. I think rail is the sort of, when we first moved here, I was still working down in Manchester. And no way to get there. A train or a bus or anything like that. So I had to drive every day.
Yeah.
And I would leave home at 5 in the morning and I'd get back at 8, 9 at night. And that was my life. It was great.
Yeah.
But that was the only way to get there. It only took 35 minutes though, because the motorway were empty.
Yeah.
That was really good. So I think in terms of that productivity, across the Leeds, better to Preston, down to Manchester, they're the sort of ones where you're going to get so that people that work there can then live here. And we all know what working is like nowadays. Everyone's a hybrid worker of some kind. Broadband is good enough. You know, you can amuse yourself at home or whatever, and therefore you've got the idea of a day or two in the office and 3 or 4 days at home.
Yeah.
And I think if you do that, then you can get more people, a bit more money in town, etc. And that's the way it will grow.
So this is a very, very important point then, and it is maybe the future of Colne as well, is this connectivity, the digital connectivity and the infrastructure connectivity. So yeah, it's only been 25 years so far, so maybe there'll be a breakthrough soon.
Can I just backtrack?
Yeah.
You were talking about businesses in Colne.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't mention, or anyone mentioned, was the empty office space.
Right.
And that's what we've got a lot of.
Right.
Since the pandemic.
I mean, have you got any ideas or any thoughts about that? What? It's just there, empty. Yeah.
I mean, we've got a building up here, Shackleton Hall.
Yeah.
And there was millions spent on that a few years back. A beautiful building. Upstairs is office space. I think it used to be And it's empty. We like to get the housing in there, housing in Pendle. And then they all work from home. And they haven't come back. And it's already going on.
We're just wrapping up, actually, but we've been talking a lot about coal, funnily enough, and the ideas for coal. I mean, a lot of it's been about the kind of uniqueness of coal. I mean, I think what's clear from an outsider coming in is the sort of the motivation and the kind of drive of coal to do things and be imaginative and be creative. I think that is a clear thing. That's one of the things we've been talking about, is that's mostly been in the centre of Colne, and the kind of donut around Colne is either retail parks or not brilliant housing, that kind of stuff. So that's another thing. We talked a lot about transport. I mean, this is the visualisation of what we talked about. It probably doesn't make that much sense. So now we're wrapping up. So we'll get a final thought. Let's get your name, by the way.
My name's Gina.
Okay, right. So you're also in the council, so to speak.
Yes.
Okay, so you know probably most of the people around the table. Yeah. I mean, not everyone's a councillor. I'm not a councillor. Bill's not a councillor. Alan and Rebecca are not councillors. And Holly's not a councillor. Near is Paul or Margot. But anyway, we're getting final thoughts. So what I'll maybe do is I'll get a final thought from everyone. We've had David's, but we'll get one from everyone. And probably at that point you'll be up to speed and you can give us the initial and final thought in one go. You're going to sort it out. You're the one that's going to solve all the problems. Okay. Holly, have you got a final thought?
Just really on Dorothy's point about office space. We absolutely won't get the workforce back into those offices. It's just a pointless cost. We initially thought about having an office. It would just literally be a cost for no benefit to us. We can see clients in their own homes, clients come to our home office, we can use Zoom, there's just no need.
There's no need to have
you need to think of something else to put in there.
What would you put in there, services?
Something fun,
Paul's whispering artists. But
people, because they can live in the town.
Could it be flats? Would it be better as flats or as an art space?
Beautiful flats.
Okay, both. Okay. Final thought?
Final thought is I obviously need to Google meetings Pendle Council. That's my first action. I mean, one of the things like I said, I'm involved in some of the other towns much more because I kind of feel like there's something I can offer. Because I do think lots is going on in Colne, and I've done some stuff in Colne. I actually live near me now, and I really love it near me, and I'm enjoying that. And I kind of like, if anything, maybe that's the thing, is like literally like on the doorstep.
I think more on the doorstep. Okay.
So I mean, a final thought I think is just is to try and demystify it myself maybe, and just understand it a little bit more.
I mean, I think in your defence, I think with the Googling thing, you do need to know what to Google. So if you don't know who does what and who's responsible for what services, or even if it's a council thing or a government thing, or even, so it is. You can't really Google what do I Google. I suppose you can. I don't know. And now we're going in a spiral.
Just get to a parish council meeting.
The other thing as well is that we tried out this week. We wanted to do a version of this with councillors, and we were told no, you can't do it. Which I was really frustrated because I just thought it'd be really interesting to have.
Who said that?
No. But I'm kind of interested in like the way that these things happen, because I have been to council meetings, in Nelson, and I just don't understand how anybody makes any decisions really. But this format and who gets around the table, because like I said, it kind of like democratises it even more. I think, which is obviously the thing that's creative. Let's talk about.
Okay, so maybe the dynamic could be changed. It's not just talking, there's lots of other ways as well of having a discussion. Is it too formal is the question? Is it a bit too kind of, old school? Your people are nodding on that? Yeah, you think so? Yeah.
It just needs to be simplified. I mean, this is fantastic. You can sit there and you can talk with each other.
Yeah.
And some lateral thinking about all these antiquated decision-making methods that they've got. And it says so much. It was horrendous. You about
there were so many things wrong with it.
Yeah, come on, tell us about this.
Well, the first thing is the lack of communication between the people talking.
Yeah.
The respect level was
Zero.
Yeah.
somebody threw his books down, stormed off, somebody else picked the coat up, went home.
And I mean, when there's members of the public,
Yeah.
that shouldn't have.
So there's a lot of aggro
Yeah, I
in the
just do
meeting.
not think that should have happened.
It was frightening.
Yeah.
These people were making decisions on our behalf.
Okay.
That's like the old ways of doing it.
Yeah.
People involved
But
in
I'm saying it, speak well. That's our
That's
opinion,
our experience.
Our experience. But if other people don't have that experience, they're not going to want to go again.
Yeah. So that is maybe something to look at, how to, maybe modernise some of that decision making. We're going around doing final thoughts, so that's just food for thought for the next time or the next meeting. But have you got final thought, Margot?
I think maybe we can do a workshop on how to talk Yankee.
Yeah, maybe we
Anyone can attend.
Maybe we can get some of the councillors doing this job.
Yeah, that would be amazing to have the surgeries or whatever. And it's fine proof, I think Kevin would.
Yeah, it's being proof as well. So we can get Kevin in the middle.
Yeah.
Since he's not here.
Yeah, and it's easy. You can
Yeah.
But my point was that I've learned a lot about Cone, and my question is what people want to see in cinema. I'm hoping to
What film
is it
do you
going
want
to
to see?
I don't know, is it going to be blockbusters? Is it going to be like some kind of artistic? Is it going to be local filmmakers?
What's it going to be like that film we watched last night about the tree house?
It was like tree house in
It was a tree house and it was just a single shot. It was a very arty film.
It's a very arty film. Anyway, yeah. So just what kind of stuff will go into the cinema? What would people like to see? Is it going to be local artists or Marvel
Local
films?
filmmakers, yeah. Okay, so in keeping with that independent spirit of Colin, will the films be independent? That's a question that a bit down the line. Rebecca, have you got a final thought?
I think the transport from here to Manchester and other cities is a big key thing,
Yeah.
both in and out.
I mean, what transport would you focus on? The roads, the buses, the
I
rail?
didn't think trams, I just wondered whether it
Yeah.
was possible on the train lines to put a tram and just tap into where everyone else is using trams.
I mean, could you have a tram that goes to Skipton? Is that possible? Skipton tram?
Well, yes, you could. On the railway line, you could have a light railway.
That's what you were saying. Yeah. Okay. Some good final thoughts, Alan?
Improve the top end of the pole. The market's planned to be redeveloped, get rid of all the nasty metalwork in front of it, that just looks like a prison cell, all nibble. Get some outside stalls in there as well, and invite people into Colne, and maybe get some signage up to direct people towards the centre and advertise the businesses that are within the town so people don't have to crowd past the generic conglomerate set down there that looks
Okay. Final thought?
Well, I was going to say, we're looking home to have the councillors that we have. I wouldn't normally say that, but we have on both committees, on the town council and the borough, the Con Area Committee, who have a lot of investment in Con and the Con people. But when you said what you'd said about the meeting, you went, do I say this or not? But no, I think we do have a lot of caring councillors that really care about the town.
There's a lot of passion. I mean,
There is a lot of passion.
The fact that you've all turned up tonight, I think, shows that. So,
But if there's a good idea from one councillor who's on an opposing council, it's a good idea regardless, and I think there's a lot of
kind of
parties on our side sort of thing, so I'm not going to agree with that. That's what I got.
Is it partisan politics?
Too much? It's a good idea, but I'm not going to admit it. How are you going to get in there?
I'm shocked we were, somebody,
There was a lady stood up from Waterside. She brought children and I wasn't going to really shout no, and she was ridiculed. And she had some guts to stand up, and I felt so sorry for her. No one really showed up. We don't know the situation. I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is the way she was treated by the councillors. Because they look down upon her, and I just felt so sorry for this woman. And she had the guts to come up, bring her children. She felt passionately about what was being discussed at the
emailed that lady and apologised.
Yeah, she did. It was disgusting.
Yeah, it's bad, wasn't it? It wasn't just...
I've never seen this.
But that's very, very rare.
Yeah.
But that's the only one we've been to, and we haven't been to another big hospital.
Okay, well, we're doing the final thought, so we're going to have to sit and come to you in a minute, Gina, because you've got to soak all of this up.
I think one thing that we've not discussed, we talked about the top of the town and the bottom of the town, is the generation divide. So the population is ageing, we've got young people, and they tend to want to leave, and we need to catch them and embrace them and give them a reason to stay, to make Coma a unique place in the next generation. Our son is one of those. He's 22, he lives in London. So, but I would like to see that the generations coming together.
Well, according to our research this week, he will be back. He will be back with a partner, with a romantic partner. It's just about, that process. He'll be back with someone from somewhere else in the world, back up this way. But they need to, go out, grab that person, get the hooks in, and then bring them back. That's what so far what we've discovered. But maybe it's not true for everybody.
That's what I think we've got to make it a place where young people want to come and live. We've got to have good transport links for them. We've got to have good facilities for them. Things like healthcare. I mean, my wife had a hospital appointment at Blackburn Royal, 60-mile round journey. People don't like doing that. We want better healthcare facilities. We need better transport. We need good, high-quality jobs. This day and age, we need high-tech industries. High-tech companies to start moving and looking like that because we work in this area. We've got Rolls-Royce, we've got people like that, but they're sort of flaky at the moment.
I mean,
we should be encouraging the government to invest in Rolls-Royce to build the nuclear reactors in Barnard.
That's what we've been there. We've been there. We've got the visualisation. You just missed it, but it's too late probably to go back to that. But we have got nuclear reactors in Barnard, in the Barnard visualisation. I'm going to go to you now, Gina. You've heard all of this. Give us a final and initial thought.
I certainly agree with quite a lot of the comments, to be honest. Particularly with improved transport links. I do think, obviously, being at the end of the motorway is a good thing for Col. And I do think it has a very bright future. I do agree about the office space, because basically lockdown and Zoom Teams kind of just got rid of all that. I think it would be, it's just people don't need it anymore. The market regeneration is something that I feel is really needed. Obviously things like improved health service and that kind of thing, it's going to be difficult to change that. We need to concentrate on what we can change and look at that.
But one of the things people were saying, one of the positive things people were saying when we were at Col Market this lunchtime is, okay, we can't concentrate on health, but we can focus on well-being. And that sense of well-being will actually allow people to have better health because they'll feel better, they'll be more active. And all these kind of things is what people were saying there. So I don't know it's too late to feed that in now, but that is what people were saying earlier on today.
Spread around the good vibes.
Exactly, the good vibes, So that's, what's the good vibes. So that will actually help people's health, I think. But not that I'm an expert. Anyway, so that's it. I mean, is there any final comments that we want to make? Should we leave it there? We've got to say thanks to Laura for helping us. We will send you, we can email you that. We're going to save it and spread it around. Any final comments? There's definitely a good vibe going on in Col, and that's something I think that we can just grow on and just work on. And so thanks everyone. Take one of yourself a round of applause.
if you know someone who may want to come to this, send them to the Nelson Market.
And also, if you think of something, oh, I wish I said that, just come up. Brave the Oasis still in the parking. Come to Nelson Market and say the thing you wish you said tonight on Friday. Otherwise, it's 12 till 2. Thanks very much. We'll see you next